Hey. So a second for people to get here. Okay. Hey guys. If you're here in the chat, go ahead and say hello. I'm just kind of setting up and sharing my screen because we're going to talk about the links to Ashraf Hakimi. Also, make sure to let me know if you can hear me well. If there's anything I need to change before we get started. If you're in the chat, go ahead and say hello. I'm trying to use two screens. So let me see. Okay. So, okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. If you're in the chat box, go ahead and say hello. It's morning here for me. Let me know what time it is for you and how you kind of feel about Arsenal being linked with Ashraf Hakimi. This is a player that I do really like. If you don't know, I'm a huge Dortmund fan as well. So when he was on loan at Dortmund, he was a very exciting player for me. He can play in so many different positions. He can play right midfield, left midfield, right back, left back. He's lightning quick, still really young, only 22 years old. And he just made he has his first permanent transfer to Inter this past summer. So he is a player that I really like, but I kind of want to dive a little bit deeper and talk about just kind of what we like about him, what we don't like about him, why we would be linked with him, and what the likelihood of him coming to Arsenal really is in the state Arsenal is in at this point. So I'm using Transfer Market just, because just for information. I know they're not always like super, credible in some of the things that they put out here, but so far for Inter, he's made 25 appearances. He has 6 goals and 5 assists, which is really good for somebody who hasn't been in the starting 11 that much. I mean, he has, but not to the extent in which he was at Dortmund. At Dortmund, he was like a nailed-on starter. At Inter, he's found playing time under Antonio Conte a little bit difficult. And I think it's just because of the style that Conte plays. Sometimes he doesn't really fit into that. But lately, he's been getting more playing time. He's been in the starting 11 73% of the time. So his current market value is 55 million. And if you consider the fact that, Inter is doing really well, I know that they're having some financial trouble, but I think regardless, they're going to want to recoup as much money from him if he does decide to leave. And yeah, it's been heavily reported that Hakimi is not 100% like loving his time at Inter, and I think it's because of playing time in the system that they play. So yeah, his market value, according to Transfer Market, which again we have to take with a grain of salt, is 55 million. Inter brought him in this past summer from Real Madrid, again off of the end of his loan spells at Borussia Dortmund, for 44 million. So that's a lot. These numbers are not numbers that I feel like Arsenal should even be talking about at this point in where we are, as a club and in a project. I just don't know if financially this is something that we could really, really do. If we kind of look at where he plays on the field, you can see that he could play left back and right midfield. And that really leans into the type of player that he is. He is more of a winger, in my opinion, than a right back. So if we are looking to play four at the back, which we have been playing this entire season, I'm not sure that he would be the right fit unless we had the right pieces around him to make up for the fact that he's just not a good defender. As quick as he is, he reminds me of a better version of Bellerin at Bellerin's best, meaning he's lightning quick, good in the final third. He's better in the final third in terms of his passing ability and his ability to beat a man off of the dribble and those types of things. But we're looking at a player that's more suitable for a wing back role or right wing, So I'm not sure if that's just something that Arteta is looking at in terms of tactics, being able to maybe play a more Callum Chambers type of right back or a Cedric right back, and then having somebody like Hakimi, to kind of play that more wing back role, that more, progressive role. I'm not sure, but being linked with him right now feels just so far-fetched to me. So I'm not really sure if this is something that's like a realistic possibility, especially with Chelsea sniffing around. They're definitely a team that can financially make this deal happen. They can make a very, tasty offer to Inter for this player. And quite frankly, they have European football and we don't. So I'm not sure, again, if this is something that's realistic, but we can kind of talk about it because in the past, a lot of Arsenal fans have looked at Hakimi as a good replacement for Hector Bellerin, which I do think if that's the type of right back that Arteta likes, which we've seen that he has leaned more into Bellerin versus like Cedric, so it's not too far-fetched that he would like a right back like this, but I'm just not sure. Let's get into some of your comments. How do you guys feel about Achraf Hakimi and the likelihood of him coming to Arsenal? Would you take him? Okay, Amin says right side of Hakimi and Saka. Yeah, that would be a really good right side, wouldn't it? I know he can attack, but but can he defend? No, but here's the reality, right? How many right backs do we know of that are really good one-on-one defenders besides maybe Aaron Wan-Bissaka? For the most part, in current or more modern systems, right backs and left backs are used as wingers, and your forwards or your natural wingers are more like inside forwards. So it's not a huge deal that he can't defend, but it just depends on the system that we decide to play, and I think that that's the key to understanding why we would be interested in a player like this. Bulgarian Gunnar says Hakimi has his limitations defensively. As a wing back, he's one of the world's best. As a fullback, it would be expensive. Pass. Yeah, and that's really the thing, is that you're going to need to have somebody dropping into that back line to compensate for him bombing forward, even in a four back, so I'm not quite sure what that looks like for Arsenal. I know Granit Xhaka drops in at left back, but I don't really think that that's what we're looking at. We would need to be playing three at the back. You can't drop Thomas Partey back there, because what's the point of buying a world-class, goal, box-to-box midfielder and having him sit back so that the right back can go forward? I'm not really sure if that makes sense either. Maybe a loan if he really is unsettled. Yes, if if he is unsettled, then maybe a loan would make sense. But after 2 years of being loaned out from Real Madrid to Borussia Dortmund, I'm not sure. I think he really wanted to have a permanent transfer so that he could be settled. And so to go back into another loan type of scenario, I'm not sure if that's something he would be interested in, especially to a team like Arsenal, who's struggling, doesn't have any European football at the moment. I do see this more of a viable option for Chelsea versus us, because they're going to want to have different types of fullbacks. Azpilicueta is getting older, and you can use Hakimi differently than how you would use a Reece James, who's a more bombastic, cross the ball in type. Hakimi is really like a midfielder in disguise, so yeah. But again, he's a really good player. I don't mind us being linked to him, but the reality is that financially, I don't see this panning out. And in the system, the way that we play, is Arteta looking for more of like a Kyle Walker, Cancelo type of fullback, or is he really looking at having somebody that's more of a wing back? Those are questions that have yet to be answered at this point, for us. Chelsea also used 3 at the back formation. Exactly. They've under, Tuchel, they have moved into the 3 back, and they're using like Callum Hudson-Odoi and Reece James as wing backs. So I do see this more of a Chelsea transfer than an Arsenal transfer. But, that being said, let's look at some other options that have been thrown around in the last couple of days. I know that the elections at Barcelona have taken place, and Laporte has taken over at Barcelona. So Laporte is somebody that does like Hector Bellerin and would like to bring Hector Bellerin in, for the right back position or as a right back option at Barcelona. So, and, rumors have, kind of circulated about this past summer, Arteta convincing Bellerin to stay for another season while we kind of sort things out, and then we would let him go this summer. So I do think we're going to be in the market this summer for a right back. So let's talk about some other options that, have been thrown around in the last couple of days. And if you guys have any suggestions of right backs that you'd like to see, let me know in the comment section. So first, let's talk about Nordi Mukiele. Mukiele plays for RB Leipzig, and obviously he plays for Nagelsmann, which, I mean, if you play for Nagelsmann, you have to be tactically, you have to be able to play in multiple types of formations and within certain tactic schemes. So this is a player that can play in multiple positions, which is something that Arteta also likes. He likes players that can play in different positions and play them well, like Saka. So Mukiele does have that kind of, can play right-sided center back, can play right wing back, can play right back. Now, to the extent and the level in which he can do those things, I have questions. For Leipzig this season, 20 appearances, 3 goals, and 2 assists. And he's in the starting 11 about 70% of the time. Nagelsmann is really good about rotating his squad and, again, having interchangeable pieces that kind of can do the same thing so that he doesn't have any drop-off, which is something that I think Arteta is going to try to achieve at Arsenal a little bit further down the line. He's 23 years old. And, yeah, he's listed as a right back. If you look at his main position, you can see that he does play right back. He can play center back as well as a little bit forward in a wing back position. So again, he's flexible in different systems. But to me, it's almost like, to what level can he play these positions at? I think Mukiele is a good player, but not a great player. To be honest, I think out of Konate and Upamecano and Haidara, he's mostly just kind of mediocre in comparison to them. Good, but not great. I I think what Arsenal fans like about Mukiele is his physical stature. He is like 6'2", 6'3", which is something that we don't have. We saw that Callum Chambers was kind of brought in against Burnley to be a bigger, taller option at right back, almost like playing like a center back. That is something that Mukiele could do for Arsenal if we wanted to have a different type of right back. But again, to what level, I'm not sure. The Bundesliga is a really good league. But when I watch him play, I just think that he's just okay. His current market value is 25 million, which isn't bad. Like, it's not like something that I would consider out of the realm of possibility. But is the level of Mukiele up to the standard that we really want? To me, it's about quality. I think he's pretty just okay. Let's see. Hi, Aslan. I'm good. How are you doing? How do you feel about being linked to Ashraf Hakimi and, right back options moving forward? That's kind of what we're talking about this morning / afternoon, probably wherever you are. So yeah, with Mukiele, I'm just thinking like, okay, that's an option, but I would like to see us maybe go after somebody a little bit better. So another option. So personally, this is who I would like to see come in. We've been linked with him in the past. We were linked with him in January, like pretty much when Arteta had come in, and I think Bellerin had one foot out the door, and we were linked with this player as a right back option. And this is personally who I like, and that's Denzel Dumfries from PSV Eindhoven. So this player I've watched play quite a bit, and although he's not shiny, he's not fancy, he doesn't have the same, excitement around him as like a Hakimi or a Lamptey would have, because they're very going forward type of players. But I think this player has a lot to offer, and I think that he would be kind of like one of those under the radar signings that would be a good idea for Arsenal, considering the lack of funds. So he's listed as a right back. He is a Dutch international. He does play for the Dutch national team, which is a very competitive team to be a part of. That's another thing that I want us to do moving forward, is bringing in players that are in and around their national team, because when you have something to play for, like wanting to be a part of the Euros and the World Cup, you have another element of jeopardy. And I think we have quite a bit of players that are not even near their national team. So besides getting the check that they get from Arsenal, that's coming regardless of whether they play or not, is just not enough to create that competition and that jeopardy that we need. So he's 24 years old. He's 6'2". He's a physical specimen. So again, when we were looking at Mukiele, I understand why Arsenal fans want to see somebody like a Mukiele come in because of his physical stature. Denzel Dumfries has a very similar stature, but he's very, very quick, and he also can defend. He mostly plays as a right back, so he's not a wing backy type player. And if he does play in a different position, he can play center back or center midfield, defensive center midfield. So I do like that he also has the flexibility to play in different positions. His market value is 19 million. So similar to Mukiele, he would be feasible financially in my mind for Arsenal. He's under the radar type of signing. So we may be able to get him for even less than that. And he's a good age. He's 24. And I do believe he's the captain of PSV. And I know it's like, why does that matter? But I think we need people with leadership mindsets, and he definitely has that. He takes it upon himself to pull his team forward. And, I know that PSV in the Dutch league is not as competitive as some people would probably like a player to be coming from. But I do think this player has a lot to offer. And I think he's at the point in his career where he might want to take the step up. So let's look at some of your comments. Zeki Selek from Lille is a potential right back solution, and we've had previous experience dealing with Lille. Yeah, we have. This is not a player that I know a lot about, if I'm honest with you, but I will take a look at this player, and maybe we'll talk about him later. Have we ever been linked to him? Let me know, and tell me a little bit more about what you like about this player, Enrico. Lamptey being injured and Arsenal possibly selling current Hale End graduates in summer. Would Aarons or Matty Cash be solid options? So, yeah, if you guys don't know, Dr. Raj Barar, I had him on my show. He's also been on Arsenal Vision. He's an excellent, explainer of injuries, and he does a lot of work in talking about injuries in the Premier League. Lamptey is out for the rest of the season because of his hamstring issue. I just don't see him as an option. I wasn't completely sold on him when we had originally been talking about right back options. But now, if you want to talk about options within, England and the UK, Max Aarons is a very good option. I do like him a lot. But the issue is that with Norwich most likely coming up to the Premier League, will they sell him to us for a decent fee? I'm sure he would rather come to Arsenal than stay at Norwich. I know it's like, well, they're coming up to the Premier League, so why would a player leave? Well, it's because the likelihood of a team coming up from the Championship and not going straight back down, I think he would want to be a part of a team that is not likely to go back down. So I don't see it as out of the realm of possibilities. I like Max Aarons because I think that he has that grit, fire, and determination that we really like from Tierney. He can go forward. He's good in the final third. And he also can defend, which is quite different. I think he would be a nice counterpart to Tierney on the other side. And I would like to see Max Aarons. I don't have anything to really complain about. It's all about how Arteta envisions the right back position, which is something that we don't really know. It's being assumed that he's playing Bellerin because he likes him or he has some special relationship with him. But it could just be the fact that Bellerin plays in a way that Arteta envisions the right back at Arsenal to play. So if that's true, then a more wing-backy right back would make sense, wouldn't it? And Matty Cash, in regards to Matty Cash, I just, I know he fits Aston Villa, and I think that's where he should stay. I think he's a good player, but I think he suits them. I don't see them selling him to us. I don't see him coming to us. So that's that. Aslan says, I'm good, Jess. Locked in from sunny old England. Hakimi would be my dream right wing back signing. I'll be honest, I've never heard of your option. I'll do my YouTube scouting. Yeah, so again, Denzel Dumfries is a under the radar type of signing. He's not shiny and fancy like Hakimi. But again, we don't need shiny. We don't need the most expensive thing on the market. We need somebody who can play in multiple positions, has the right mindset, is a good age, and is good for the project. And I think Denzel Dumfries fits that. But the only thing is making the step from the Dutch league to the Premier League. S says, hi, Jess. What do you think of Kyle Walker? I think his England's best right back, and even though he's former Spurs, I'd happily take him. Well, I think Kyle Walker is a really good player. I do think that I would like a right back that's similar to him with more physical stature and can go backwards and play and defend decently. But again, we're looking at the project moving forward. I think as good as Man City's garbage might be, we don't need to be taking these types of players. So I know I saw that some Arsenal fans wanted us to look at Kun Aguero because he'll be leaving Man City for free, but we just don't need any more Williams, do we? I just don't think that is the direction that we need to go in. So as much as I like Kyle Walker and as good as I think he is, I just think that we need to avoid these types of players in the future. Enrico says, I've seen him play a few times, Selick, and he's a solid right back, and he's in the right age bracket as he's only 23 and has potential to grow further. And that's the thing, right, is that we're in a position where we can't make mistakes when it comes to recruitment because funds are limited and we just don't have enough rope, so we don't have the option of just, it didn't work out, we'll sit him on the bench and buy somebody else next summer. So when we're looking at potential players to bring in, I think they have to hit almost every single mark, right age range, right profile, being able to play in multiple positions, right mindset, did I say right price? We can't take too many risks at this point for Arsenal. I think that's kind of where we are. So yeah, you guys, go ahead and put some more comments in there. Maybe you guys have some questions. I mean, I am going to be doing my match preview later on today, in about 2 hours. So we'll go over like team news and that kind of stuff for the Olympiacos match. But is there anything else you guys wanted to talk about? We kind of touched on Lacazette leaving yesterday, but do we want to talk about any other options that we see for the center forward position? I know that, we're linked with several different players. I am a little bit disappointed that it kind of looks like Leicester may have jumped the gun with Hudson Edouard and kind of gotten in his ear and have at least a fee agreed for him for the summer. So we can talk about center forward options. I have maybe 20 more minutes if you guys want to chit chat a little bit longer. Aslan says, not that I care much about international football. Aaron's moving to Arsenal could give him a better chance of getting into the England squad. Yeah, and I do think that with Smith Rowe and Saka playing so well, Arsenal is back on the map. I think for a while we've been kind of like a forgotten place when it comes to England players. And I do think it's important for Arsenal to have a hand in the England national team as an English club. So yeah, it might give him a better chance of making that squad if that's what he really wants to do. I mean, right back for England is stacked, isn't it? That's going to be a difficult position to get looked at for. But I think it would give him a better opportunity. I do agree with that. Aslan asked, if we did sell Laka, who would you want us to sign? So like I just kind of touched on, Hudson Edouard is to me the dream. He's the right age, the right price, the right everything. I think he's the perfect fusion of what we need in terms of we need clinical finishing, but we also need somebody that has a little bit more to their game than Aubameyang in terms of build-up play, being able to build up play deep, but also be a part of finishing off moves. He's agile. He's physical. He's 6'2", so he's a lot taller than Lacazette, so he is an upgrade in that regard. And we need a modern striker. And I think that Aubameyang and Lacazette represent two types of strikers that, although were probably good 2 or 3 years ago, are not, what we need in terms of modern strikers. And I also think that Aubameyang not only needs somebody that can pick up the slack, but also somebody that can fight him for his position. Right now, he doesn't have any true competition, and I don't care who you are at Arsenal, regardless if you're getting paid 300 grand a week or 20 grand a week, you need competition. Nobody should feel like their spot is set in stone. So bringing in somebody who is a center forward that can do things that Aubameyang can't do, I think would bring a type of competition to that position that would make even maybe Aubameyang a better player. which I think is something that he needs. So Hudson Edouard would be my first choice for sure. I also think if we didn't get Hudson Edouard, I would look at Ivan Toney. Not only because I think he's a good player, but because I think that's the market that we're going to be shopping in if we don't get European competition. But you guys let me know in the comment section kind of, who you would look at, as a center forward option. I'm sure there's other people out there that I'm not even thinking about. S says, I would also take Dest at Barcelona. If we can somehow offer the new Barca president Bellerin in a swap deal for Serginho Dest, I would be over the moon. I think, yes, that would be an awesome, scenario if we could get it done, but he literally just got there. So I don't think that would happen, but I would take Dest at Arsenal. And I am working on I think somebody asked me, I think it's Barry. He was on one of my streams the other day. He asked me to do a MLS players that Arsenal should be looking at. So I'm going to do a version of that talking about American players or players in the MLS that Arsenal should be looking at during the summer window. So look out for that. Exactly, S. The new Barca president apparently wants to buy Bellerin, and I think it's time. I think it's time for both parties to just part ways. I think it's best for everybody, and I just think we're in we need something different in that right back position. So I do think he'll be off in the summer. Enrico says, I have a sneaky feeling Arsenal might go for Andre Silva in the summer. Yeah, I could see that too. He, well, first of all, we are being linked to him, but tell me a little bit more about him. I don't watch Frankfurt that often. So what does he have I know he's having a good season, but what qualities does he have that you think would suit Arsenal? Let me stop sharing my screen. Okay. People forgot Laka was the player of the season for 2018-19. He has had his ups and downs, but generally apart from last season, he has been a good player for the club, although he wasn't worth 45 million. Yeah. We talked about this a little bit, I think yesterday on the post-match for Burnley, that I just think Lacazette, he's a really good player. He's unfairly criticized. I think at times he works really hard, but I think he's a really good example of poor squad building from Arsenal. He was brought in as a replacement for Giroud, and the complaint about Giroud was that he wasn't clinical enough. He wasn't the type of striker that was going to bring in 20 plus goals a season, and neither was Lacazette. I know that he scored about 20 goals in the season for Lyon prior to the one where he came to Arsenal, but a lot of those were from the penalty spot. So he's never really been, he was never the type of player that I think that we envision him to be. And on top of that, then you bring in the striker 6 months later, in Aubameyang. So I think he's kind of just a victim of poor squad building from Arsenal. And I just think it's time for him to move on and the club to try to recoup a fee for him. I think we talked about this before. I would take 20 million, something around there, and just in part ways. He's on the wrong side of 30. It's just kind of time. And it's time for some of these players to just kind of move on. I think we hold on a little bit too long, Aslan says, I totally agree, Jess. Solid options. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think we're just in a place where there's certain players that need to be moved on. And center forward is an interesting position that I hope gets sorted this summer. But, we kind of talked about yesterday how the finances are going to be tight. So we need to make the right decisions, so we'll see. You guys smash the likes before we finish up here. I really appreciate you guys watching these streams. I just randomly kind of look at, what's going on in the Arsenal world and just kind of pop up, so I'm going to try to do them daily if I can. Daily if I can. But if I can't, You know, if you guys want to send me DMs, about things that you want me to talk about, please do. Sorry, I just got a call and it distracted me a little bit. Okay, let's see. A couple more comments, you guys. It says more comments, but it won't let me scroll down there for some reason. Oh, there it goes. S says, Dest, Basuma, Odegaard on another loan deal if possible, and maybe also a backup striker would be the dream summer transfer window in terms of incoming. So you guys in the comment section, let's just all say, what we would like to see, who we'd like to see come in for the summer window. Let's do a center midfielder, a cam, whatever you guys think. Let's just say in the comments what kind of players you're looking forward to coming in this summer, because we are going to need to improve the squad. But I think everybody has a different idea of what that looks like for Arsenal. Enrico says, I follow Italian football, and I'll be honest, Silva struggled at Milan, but ever since he's been at Frankfurt, he's been banging in goals. They're also doing well this season in the league. So is this one of those situations where he's having one good season and we'll pick him up and then we'll be like, wow, he was a one-season wonder? I mean, is there enough evidence or, is there enough, on his CV to go for this type of player? Austin Edouard is somebody that I've watched for 2 seasons, is banging in goals, whether Celtic is doing well or not. But then also the Scottish league is not as good as the German league. So who knows? Aslan says, great topic. We see a lot of Americans in the Bundesliga. Why not the Premier League? I'd be interested to hear young up and coming American players. Yeah, I'm going to do that soon. Probably like in the in-between time, like on Wednesdays or Tuesday or something like that, just to kind of talk about it. I am a little bit disappointed that there's except for Balogun, there's no American players on Arsenal. And I think that is a market that we should be a part of, because that when things are hot, like certain types of players or certain nations are hot, you bring them in, you let them play, and you can even just sell them on for bigger fees just because they're hot. That's pretty much what it is, So, yeah, I think we should have at least one American in the first team, shouldn't we? There's a lot of good talent in the MLS and just in general in the American system. Hold on real quick. Just going to retweet this. Okay. Let's see. S says, Jess, have you watched a completion of Charlie Patino from our compilation? I think you mean of Charlie Patino from our under 23s. If not, I highly recommend, as he's probably the top prospect coming out of our academy. So is he better than Serjan or Aziz? Tell me a little bit about him, because I think that's something else that I want to do, is talk to somebody who really knows something about the academy. I have to be honest, I don't, unless the people from the first team are talking about these players. I don't really know enough about them to speak with certainty on them. But if he's really good, of course, I'll look at that compilation for sure right after this. England have the hottest prospects right now. They probably do, but I just think that because the American market is kind of new and fresh, that people are looking at it a little bit more. England always has really good prospects, so I'm not saying that they have the best. I'm just saying that they're the hottest at the moment. Does that make sense? Enrico says his ideal summer window is Ryan. I guess that's Matty Ryan, Selleck or Dumfries. Backup left back Anthony Robinson or Mitchell, and midfielder Basuma, and up top Silva or Tony. You know what's funny about Anthony Robinson? He's American as well, but if you look up some of the tackles that he's done, I know he got a red card for one not too long ago, but he is like down for a neck break tackle every once in a while. Like, he's kind of out of control in that way. But yeah, you saying that is just so funny. But we do still need a backup left back, don't we? I kind of forgot about that a little bit. Like, now that the January window is over, but we do need a backup left back. I really hope it's not like a Bertrand or somebody like that. I mean, I know that he's decent, but I just can't handle another one of those. Can you guys? I mean, I don't know. We're also linked to a young Brazilian player as well. I get all the information on it, but we're linked with a young Brazilian player. If any of you guys have the name of this player, let me know. But that's what I'm talking about. Like, that's something that I am looking forward to this summer, is seeing if Edu does use his connections in South America to bring us some under the radar talent. I think that's really what we're going to need, is more Martinelli types, coming out of nowhere that we can potentially use for player sales or something like that in the future. I know you guys don't want to talk about potentially selling Martinelli. I don't want to put that out in the universe, but I would like to see some smart, introductions like that as well. Couple more minutes, guys. Gaz says, ideally Hakimi or Lamptey, Kanate, as I think one of Mavropanos or Saliba will be sold, unfortunately. Odegaard re-signed on loan. Samari with Miguel Aziz, Lopez promoted. That's a really good window. I like that window. Besides the Hakimi or Lamptey, because you guys already know I'm Denzel Dumfries FC. But yeah, that would be a really good window. I do think we're in for a right-sided center back, which is unfortunate, because I feel like if that's true, then maybe Saliba is not coming back. I don't think Mavropanos is coming back. He should be able to bring in a fee, which is good. But I do like Kanate if that's the type of center back we're looking at. Out of him and Upamecano, I think they're pretty much interchangeable. I just think that because Kanate was injured for so long that people forgot about him, but he's pretty similar to Upamecano. They're both really raw and young players, so I do like him. Odegaard, I think getting him on a loan for another 12 months is the most ideal scenario, because I don't see us having the 40 to 50 million that Real Madrid is going to want for him, but getting him back on a loan would be ideal. Boubakary Samare is the under the radar signing that we should make if we can't afford Basuma. Brighton is going to rinse us for Basuma. I mean, if we want him, it's going to cost us at least 40 million, because I think they bought him from Lille for 20 something million. So they're going to want to double that. So why not just go to the source and get Sumari instead? So I really like that player. And Aziz, Lopez promoted. I would like to see the next generation of Arsenal Academy players be promoted in preseason and integrated into the squad, and removing players like Ceballos and El Neni. I don't think they're serving us at this point. I love Ceballos, don't get me wrong, but we shouldn't purchase him. So bring up some of our young players and see how they go. Aslan says potential signings of Hakimi or Aarons, left back cover, center back, depending on who we sell or release. I want to see Saliba and Mavropanos given a chance. Center midfielder Basuma and Samare, and a Cam Grealish star signing. You guys, I don't think we're going to get Grealish. I mean, I love Grealish, don't get me wrong. And like in another lifetime, maybe 2 or 3 seasons ago, I would have been like, yeah, bring him in. But I think Aston Villa is building something there where they are betting on themselves to become a European placing team. So I don't see them letting Grealish go. Of course, we've already talked about Basuma and Samare as being the center midfielders that I would like to bring in. One or the other. I don't see us bringing in both. In contrast to the person that just, I think it was Gauze, said that they don't see Saliba and Mavropanos coming back in. You actually want to see them given a chance. I would like to see Saliba come back in. But I just think that there's something weird going on there that we don't really know about. That's really unfortunate. I do think Mavropanos will be sold. And I keep getting phone calls, you guys. And yeah, your right back options are perfect. Alexander G says, do you think Edu has the chops to bring in a couple key players despite AFC not getting Champions League? That's what we're going to see. I mean, he has a big job. He has a really big job because without Champions League and without European competition in general, the recruitment looks different. But this is what I'm talking about. He's going to have to, dig deep, use his relationships, and bring in smart signings. I do think Gabriel and Thomas Partey are smart signings. But again, we got them with European football, so we're looking at a completely different scenario at this point. So I think it's inconclusive. I want to believe that he can do it because he has to do it. I mean, this is a do or die transfer window, but we'll see. It's a we'll see situation, isn't it? Gaz also wants to mention Depay, who will be on a free good Laka replacement. Yes, I mean, I love Depay. He's one of my favorite players to watch outside of the EPL. I think that he's done such a good job kind of reinventing himself after his failure at Manchester United. That being said, I think he'll end up like maybe at Barcelona with Koeman. And I don't see him in Arsenal colors for some reason, as good as he is. Aslan says Soumare will have 1 year left on his contract in the summer. We have good business with Lille. I mean, that is the smart signing as much as I want. So let's say if we're in European competition and we're pushing for top 4, you buy Basuma. If you're mid-table and outside of Europe and, the project is a longer term project, you buy Soumare, right? And I think, I mean, he's the perfect type of profile to play that CDM type. I think we could play a good midfield 3 of Odegaard, Soumare, and Thomas Partey. I think that's the direction that I would like to see us move in. S says Charlie Patino is a deep-lying creative midfielder who's very technically gifted with an incredible eye for a pass. He was bought for 10,000 from Luton Academy, similarly to Wilshere, who was also brought in from Luton's Academy. And his play style is also similar to Wilshere. If you guys know anything about me, I'm a Wilshere stan. He's one of my favorite Arsenal players of all time. I'm obsessed with him. At some point, I will get him on my show. I just love him so much. And if you're telling me he's similar to Wilshere, then I'm sure I'll love him. So, but you guys, I'm going to sign off now. Good show. Thank you guys for being here. I really appreciate it. I know we just kind of talked about whatever. So I hope you guys enjoyed the show. I will be back on at 6 p.m. UK time to do my match preview for the Olympiacos game. So make sure that you tune in for that. Please subscribe to the channel before you leave and like the video. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.